This kit has been everywhere lately, and of course, as a huge Mariah Elizabeth fan, I had to get my own. But as soon as I ordered mine, I was facing a problem. How do I make someone else's craft kit feel like my own, especially someone as recognizable as Mariah Elizabeth with her Blob universe? So I was thinking and thinking, and I've been thinking for so long, it's actually way too long, probably. And I finally came up with an idea. I am going to make my blobs interactive. The idea came from my Create This Book 3 series. If you've seen that, I've been enjoying adding interactive pieces to my pages, little pop-ups and things. So I thought I would do the same to the blobs by giving them moving parts. I'm really excited about this idea. I'm not sure how it's gonna go, but I can't wait. So let's open the kit and get creative.
Let's get a closer look at this kit. The universe continues with you. Oh yeah, Mariah, we are all answering your call. Mariah started this blob universe and she realized that creating 5,000 blobs, it's a gigantic task for only one person, so here we are. The kit has everything you need to customize 3 blobs that are included: paint, instructions, clay tool, brushes, black acrylic marker, and even a theme mat. I was really surprised to learn that these are plastic. I thought they were going to be made out of gesso or clay. But I am pleasantly surprised by this material. It's lightly textured and it's less fragile than any clay would be. I'm going to use the sketching area from the instruction manual to develop my first idea. I'm turning this tiny bunny into a blob. Well, he's just not any bunny. He is very special to me. His name is Yolki. I just moved and thought I lost it and I was freaking out. As you can see, he is a very tiny piece of clay. I'll tell you more about Yolki in a bit, but first I want to give him a bit of a redesign. I feel he needs to be rounder because he's essentially a yolk. I want him to have big, floppy, thick ears instead of these tiny straight ones, so I'm just gonna draw him like that here. This glossy paper is not doing great with my pencil, so I'm moving the sketching to one of my sketchbooks. Now, Yolki is a tiny, homeless yolk bunny. I made him in a clay video. I made the egg he was supposed to go into, but it was a massive fail. So, no home for Yolki. He did find a rainbow to live next to, but he is essentially homeless. So I decided a good accessory for him would be a Vindle stick with some snacks. I started by poking a hole in the blob's hand. I thought it was going to be harder, but it was actually quite easy to go through it. Now I needed to add the ears. I'm actually not going to use the air dry clay provided in the kit because ears this massive would take forever to dry and they would be super heavy. So I'm actually going to use foam clay. I love foam clay. It's less messy, it dries faster, and it's very, very lightweight. Also, when it's dry, foam clay does not break as easily as regular air dry clay. To attach this clay to the plastic or anything else really, I just need to use white glue. So attached, and with both ears on, I decided I wanted to enlarge the hole on his hand so that I could fit this little twig I found in my garden. I want to use it for his little bundle instead of making a stick. I fiddled with the stick in the hole until I got them to fit right, and then gave my bunny a big tail. Now for the handkerchief that ties to the stick. How do I make this out of foam clay? It would definitely collapse onto itself when it dries. So at first I just tried with the square and put the corners together, and I noticed I pushed them together too hard and it doesn't look like a circle anymore, and then I reflected on it collapsing on itself. So I decided it would be best to sculpt the knot separately and then the round part. I also thought it best to use the included varnish to varnish my twig to keep it from leaving debris on the clay as I worked. As for the handkerchief or clay square, my idea was to put ribbon in the middle and then join the corners. That way, the ribbon would keep the clay from collapsing onto itself as it dried, and it would keep its round shape. Then when dry, I can just pull the ribbon out. So yeah, this is the next day. I pulled the ribbon out. It was a little hard to do because some of it had stuck to the clay, but with a little tug, I was able to do it without completely destroying what I made. I did tear a few tiny pieces, but I thought I could just patch those up and it would still look as a raggedy piece of fabric. So that's exactly what I did. I used a little bit more foam clay because it just sticks onto itself to cover the tears. And then for one of them, I made a square patch to cover a little hole. I'm also going to use some of these candy charms for Yolki as things he keeps in his little bag. I'm just going to choose the ones I want and paint on top of them later. On this video, we're going to sculpt everything first exactly in the order I created it. So we're moving on to the next two blobs. And for these ones, I wanted to do something different. So I'm using this little jar that's filled with, let's say, prompts to choose the characters. The way I created the ideas that are listed here in these prompts was I just made a list of names or characteristics in my notebook to make a list. And the way I chose those was I simply opened Pinterest and anything I saw that caught my eye, I wrote it down. It's pretty simple. So for example, I liked this image and for the prompt, I wrote radish cucumber. Now this otter is so cute too. So for the prompt, I wrote cute shell. Then on these ones, I just wrote macaron bunny. You get the idea. Just write everything and it would become prompts. Then I just cut them all up and put them in this cute jar that my daughter gave me. So for the second blob, we're going to choose a prompt from here. Let's pick one. Okay, got cocoa flower, and I don't feel like doing that one at all, so I'm just going to pick another one. My game, my rules. And the next one says autumn fairy. Okay, we'll do that one. Back to the sketchbook, and as you can see by the lighting, I started sculpting late in the afternoon. I was still unpacking from my move, but I just had to get my hands on this kit. I felt so hyped by all of the videos I saw, so I had to start. And I started sketching, but I was quickly running out of daylight. So I decided what I would do is sketch off camera overnight. And on that moment, the only thing I would do on camera was quickly choose the next prompt for the third blob so that I could prepare that sketch too. And I did that and I got lotus. On the next day, I had my designs ready, and for Autumn Fairy, we are going to need a lot of little magnets. I'm going to attach 7 around her head to create an autumn flower crown. And then I'm going to cover them using a very thin layer of foam clay that I'm blending into the main body. As I cover the magnets, I'm sculpting a branch in the spaces in between to act as the base of the crown. For this part, I'm just twisting coils of clay together and gluing them in place. I'm also sculpting a leaf and little twigs, arranging them around as I go. And I'm adding a magnet to her hand also. It was harder to add the magnet and clay here and to have them merge with the blob, but I think it looks okay enough. So as a fairy, she obviously needed wings. I'm using this piece of clay I quickly sculpt to figure out what size of wing she needs. Tiny, medium, huge. Sculpt another wing. This one looks more like an angel wing, but I'm thinking they need to be pretty big so you can see them from the front as well. To get the wings right and make them symmetrical, I'm going to trace the blob out in a separate piece of paper and I'm going to draw some wings on top. I am making the wings look like leaves, which seems appropriate. Now that I have the wing drawn, I'm going to grab more foam clay and flatten it up. Then I'm placing the clay right on top of the drawing to transfer the pencil markings onto the clay. Perfect. So now I'm cutting it with a craft knife and I'm going to polish them a bit, and then I'll just follow the exact same process for the second one, which would still transfer the pencil. I'm going to let the wings harden just a little bit because then they would be easier to work with. In the meantime, I'm going to sculpt some little things for the crown. First an acorn, and I'm putting a tiny magnet on its back so it can get attached. And then I'm going to do other things like leaves, flowers, and mushrooms. Now I'm adding more leaves to the crown, keeping them in place with the white glue. And as the clay on the leaves hardens a bit, I take a knife and make indentations to give them texture. I need foam clay to be a little dry so that it would keep the shape of the things I'm doing. I'm done with all of the little crown accessories, so I'm going to work on the wings some more. Again, I'm just creating texture with my modeling tools, and I'm smoothing out the edges, making them both match as much as I can. Wings are ready, and I only need to sculpt 2 more little things for this fairy, and then we're moving on. I'm making a tiny little bird and a tiny bunny to be her friends. Okay, last blob, and for this one we got the word lotus. Honestly, I started calling this blob Lottie as soon as I sketched it, so Lottie it is. For Lottie, I'm doing something different. I saw this on Pinterest and I love the idea of having a blob wearing a mask. So I'm using foam clay and molding it on top of the face. I'm pulling the clay in the middle to divide it into 2 parts for the eyes because this is going to be a frog mask. Then I'm taking some clay off where the eyes need to be, and I'm taking it off the blob and polishing it a bit. I'm using a marker cap to cut out the eyes and have them be the same size, and then I'm placing slits on the sides so I can run some elastic through it later. And I'm also adding cheeks. I'm going to let the mask dry a bit, and in the meantime, I'm adding a single magnet to the top of its head, and I'm going to try my best to cover it with clay. The magnet will hold Lottie's hat. See, Lottie, I have a backstory for her already. Lottie is obsessed with the beautiful pond that she lives by, and she likes to play dress up to match her pond. So that's why she has a frog mask, and now I'm making this lotus pad as a hat for her. So first I'm sculpting the leaf. I want it to be chunky to match its blobbiness. And then I'm gonna make the flower. Again, I'm making it chunky and a little bit cartoonish. I'm adding a huge magnet to the leaf so that we can position it differently on its head. And I'm letting it dry separately from the flowers so I can paint them better. I'll glue them together once they're both dried and finished. I want the mask to dry and still fit the blob, so I'm going to let it dry on top with a piece of plastic in between. Okay, 3rd day, and it was finally time to paint. So here's the theme mat. Ta-ta! The Blob Universe mat. Yay! So I'm starting with Yolki, and yellow it is. I don't think Yolki is this bright of a yellow. I like a warm toasted yellow for a yolk. So I'm adding a little bit of red and brown to change the color. Much better. So first layer of paint on. And for the next one, I'm actually going to mix the yellow on this little tub so it's easier to mix and I have enough of it. More of it, just in case. Oh no, I added way too much red, so I need to add more yellow. So I'm going to mix a lot of paint. But it's the perfect color, so in for the second layer. I'm giving it a 3rd layer of paint, but only because I want to blend some white into some areas so that it looks more blobby and yolky. I also painted Yolki's belly patch and blended some pink for its cheeks and started painting his candy. The fabric bundle I'm going to paint with acrylic markers since I want it to be rainbow stripes and that's going to be easier with markers. Yolki is obsessed with finding the perfect rainbow to live at, so I saw it fitting that he always carries a bit of rainbow with him. I also used the markers to draw details on the candy and draw his face. And yeah, the set comes with a black acrylic marker, but since I already had one of my sets out, I just grabbed mine and completely forgot about that one and I didn't use it in the video. I'm so sorry. I also tried bolder highlights on Yolki by drawing them with the white marker, but I didn't like these, so once again, I blend them in. With everything painted, it was time to put the bindle stick together by gluing its parts. Finally, I used the provided varnish to cover everything and give it that finished shine. And here he is! I'm so obsessed with him. Love him. Love him and this experience so much that I just can't wait to the end of the video to tell you I had a blast with this kit. The size of the blobs is just like so delicious. I don't know what it is, but it's so much fun to do. No wonder Mariah wanted to make 5,000. I really want to make more too. I was even toying with the idea of getting a second kit, but I can't justify purchasing a second one now that I have all of the materials included and I have everything. So what do you think? You know what? Just wait to the end of the video and let me know what you think. I'll show you more of Yolki then. For now, I can't wait to show you the fairy. I wanted to paint this fairy with a gradient of warm fall colors. I'm using Mariah's red straight from the tube to test the shade, and I think it's a little bright, so I tried to darken it with brown and black. But I still wasn't getting the shade I wanted, so this girl is getting special treatment since I'm using my golden acrylics on it. I started the gradient from rich brown to yellow. And let me tell you, this took me over an hour. Sounds crazy, but between drying times and me trying to get the balance of the colors just right, it was a labor of love. This blob took forever to paint. I painted and painted, adjusted and blended, and then painted again. Took forever, but finally I liked it enough to move forward and start painting the flower crown. I used acrylic markers for this since it's a small area and I wanted to use a lot of colors. Then, of course, I painted all of the little things I sculpted, which was actually so much fun. I loved all of the little details I could add with the markers, and the bird turned out super cute, and so did the bunny, which, by the way, do you remember how I didn't want to follow that prompt, the first one I got, Cocoa Flower? Well, this bunny, he is now Cocoa Flower. I painted it with warm browns and decorated its fur with tiny flowers. It's so cute. It's Cocoa Flower. It's very tiny and hard to see, but I thought it was beautiful. And this bunny, it's the perfect size to be original Yolki's friend. Aren't they a cute pair? But of course, they'll have to play later because today Cocoa Flower needs to be with its fairy. Snapping the pieces on the blob is so satisfying already, but there's still much to paint. She needs eyes, so I'm drawing those on top with the markers. I wanted her eyes to be special, so I'm taking great care in drawing them. I wanted them to be different, so they have heart-shaped highlights and little strokes of orange in them. I wanted these to be outlined and I had to get super close to be able to draw those thin lines. So yeah, I couldn't do it. It was not coming out great, so I'm taking it off screen to finish it by holding it so close to my face. The wings also need to be painted. I'm using a marker to go into the grooves of the texture, and then I'm using yellow paint on top mixed with a little bit of red to create a gradient. When the wings dried, I simply glued them to the back of the fairy and then I varnished everything. And she is done. Oh, she is so pretty. And putting the pieces on with the magnets makes this little satisfying sound. Yum! I'm so happy with how this one turned out. We'll see more of her at the end too, because now I just want to move to painting the last blob, Lottie. And Lord help me, I'm doing a gradient again. I know it's so hard to do these gradients and it's so time consuming, but I cannot shake the idea of Lottie being pink and green. Before painting, I was trying out her accessories to decide on colors, and the lotus flower is so off. I made it way too big. I'm not sure about it. I'll put it onto the side and decide on it after Lottie has been colored. I'm starting the gradient with pink and then I'm having green at the bottom. This one was a little bit easier to do because I only used 2 colors. It still took a while, don't get me wrong, but it was easier. So now she has color. Let's see about that flower. Yeah, it's too big. Before sculpting another one, I'm removing some of the petals to get an idea of what size would look best. So yeah, I'm destroying this one, and in doing so, I've decided the next flower needs to be much smaller, and instead of being cartoonish, it needs to be delicate, and instead of being glued to the leaf, I'm gonna give it a magnet so you can decide if you attach it or not. Adding a magnet to the dry leaf was pretty simple because, as I said, foam clay attaches to itself, so I just put one there, and then I sculpted a more delicate flower that, of course, I also put a magnet in. I used the mask to draw where the eyes needed to fall when I painted them, and then I proceeded to paint. I also painted both the leaf and the flower, and then I used acrylic markers to add details to the mask, like the smile and the cheeks and the little toad spots. I bought a bit of elastic. I wanted to use flat elastic, but I couldn't find it in green, so I'm just gonna use the green round one. It's not as nice, but it looks okay. I pushed it across the holes of the mask, and then I kept it in place with a knot. Tried it on Lottie and marked the eyes again. I then painted her eyes with acrylic markers, and again, I wanted these to be super elaborated, not just like simple eyes, so it has a bunch of colors. And again, I had to do it off camera because I can't see that far. After finishing them and varnishing Lottie, here she is. This one was more simple. It's hard to showcase her fascinator hat when she's lying down, so let me just show you how she looks wearing her mask first. Ah, she's so cute. And here she is standing up, so you can see the hat. And I love that you can choose how much of a tilt the leaf has. And of course, you can leave it like that or make it fancier by adding the flower. Let me bring our fairy in because my daughter, yes, that's my 17-year-old daughter, she was playing with the blobs and their magnetic accessories. And she placed the leaf on the fairy like this and said it looked like a shield on her hand. And yes, I love that. We love seeing her as a forest warrior too. Okay, you know what? Let me get Yolki into the picture too so he isn't left out. And here they are, my 3 beautiful blobs. Thank you so much, Mariah, for creating this kit. I had so much fun with it, and it sparked my creativity in so many ways. Y'all, please let me know what's your favorite blob and if you think I succeeded in making them my own. Oh, and you know what? I was thinking of a way to justify me getting another kit. So if this video gets something crazy like 3,000 likes, I am going to take that as a sign of the universe and get a second kit. So maybe leave any suggestions for interactive blobs you may have in the comments. It may happen. That's it from me today. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. I hope you liked it and that I'll see you on my next one. Have the most wonderful day. Bye.